Maybe some of you are going to get upset because I want to talk about something positive for a change. And usually I talk about things that annoy me, things that I don't like. So obviously my channel has this negative connotation. But today I'm going to talk about what I think is the best comic that I have read in 2018. Since it's almost the end of the year, I think I'm allowed to do that. And this comic comes from DC, and it's called The Batman Who Laughs. And it's so popular that this character might actually get its own spin off series. Now, in order to understand what The Batman Who Laughs is, you need to understand how the DC universe works. Every time you make a decision, every time you have to choose between two paths, a parallel universe is created where you have taken the opposite decision. And all these parallel universes placed together form the multiverse, an infinite numbers of planets with an infinite numbers of possibilities. Now, parallel to the multiverse, there is the darkverse. Whenever a person from the multiverse has a fear or a dread, a world is created within the darkverse where that fear or dread comes to pass. For example, the canon version of Batman is afraid that one day Superman might go rogue and he is going to have to use a weapon that he invented, which is the Doomsday virus. The Doomsday virus will turn Batman into actual Doomsday and have to fight Superman. So Doomsday Batman is a Batman version of the Darkverse, and it's explored in another chapter of the Dark Knight's Rises. Now, unlike the multiverse, the planets in the Darkverse are not sustainable. Once the fear plays out and its consequences are revealed, the entire universe is going to collapse and it's going to be destroyed. Which is why there is a really interesting arc going on between the nightmares of the Darkverse trying to fight with the superheroes from the multiverse in order to try to gain access to the sustainable planets within the multiverse. Now, I'm not going to go into the main crossover event. Instead, I'll just focus on this particular character, which is the Batman Who Laughs. So as you guys figured out, this takes place in the Darkverse, and it is the fear that Batman has that one day he will kill the Joker. A lot of people don't like the idea of Batman killing, however, I love it because it happens in a lot of Elseworld stories. And a good writer, someone who knows what he is doing, every time Batman kills the Joker wins because Batman loses his humanity. And it's going to come with a great toll at the hero's psyche, which is something that happens in this story. So in this story, it is called The Joke That Went Too Far, where the Joker pushes Batman's buttons a little bit harder than usual. Not only is he destroying buildings throughout the cities, hospitals, schools, and killing innocent people, which is what he always does, but he also uses a toxin which makes Batman helpless, paralyzes him, but keeps him conscious. So he's still able to watch the carnage and the horror that Joker does, but from a helpless perspective. He then gets a family in front of Batman and shoots the parents in cold blood, and then goes to the child and turns the child into a like-minded creature such as the Joker. And we notice that he lined up several people in order to do this again and again and again in front of Batman, playing on the tragedy which got him to take the mantle of the Dark Crusader. Obviously, Batman snaps and he manages to overpower the toxin and starts fighting the Joker. However, unlike the previous encounters, this time Batman actually loses control and snaps Joker's neck, ended up in killing him. Several days later, Superman talks to Batman and he wants to see if his friend is okay. Batman says that he will not let the Joker turn him into a monster. Even though he managed to break his code, it's going to be a one-time thing, and he is going to do everything in his power to return to normal and never kill again. Superman seems to be reassured at what Batman has said and then changes the topic and tries to talk about the kids that the Joker affected with his toxin. He says that the kids are so overwhelmingly lost that when a psychologist tried to talk with them, the kids simply attacked and tried to tear her apart. To which Batman starts to laugh. So I really like the writer here. He made a simple chuckle feel so ominous and fill the reader with dread as you're reading the comic book, and you just feel the need to read more to see what happens. Several days later, we are shown that in the Batcave, the Bat family is training, and the exercise is upped in difficulty quite a lot, to the point where some of them might even get injured. So they decide to talk with Bruce Wayne and ask them what's wrong because they notice that he has shut himself up recently and refused to communicate. And finally, Batman answers. He explains that in the Joker's brain, there was a toxin which was harmless and inert in it of itself. But once the Joker would die and necrosis would set in the brain, the toxin would activate and it would only affect one person, a person that would be the closest to the Joker. Now, this toxin seems to be far more potent than anything Batman has ever encountered, and no matter how much he tried during the last couple of days, he can't seem to find an antidote. And what this toxin does is that it's going to bring the same insanity that the Joker had into whomever managed to inhale it. Basically, the last joke from the Joker is that the person who is going to kill the Joker is going to become the Joker. Now, obviously, the rest of the Bat family become really worried and they offer several solutions. They talk about imprisoning Batman in the Phantom Zone or trying to get the Justice League involved in order to find out a way that they would be able to contain him while everyone else will try to find a solution for his problem. However, Batman keeps saying no to all the solutions he brings, and the reader probably thinks it's because Batman is Batman. He probably can escape the Phantom Zone. He probably can escape any type of prison that the Justice League has out for him. So we're curious to see what solution Batman has to this problem. And his solution seems to be to gun down the entire Bat family in cold blood, murdering everyone that was in the room, saying that the reason he got them all there is because they would be the first ones that would notice him change into the Joker, and he just can't have that. In the next panel, we see him murder the entire Justice League. The way he does it is that he goes to the weapons that the Justice League managed to gather throughout the years of their missions and uses those weapons, those alien tech, some of the most powerful weapons in the universe, to kill everyone. Obviously, Superman is the only one that's left standing, but even he is in a very weakened state. And what Batman does is he brings Lois and his kids and starts mocking Superman, starts telling him, like, tell your family that they're going to be fine. And Superman says that I will not do this, I will not lie to my family. And Batman, in a mocking response, says, well, that's okay, you can lie to mine. And you can see that he managed to get other kids to be infected with this toxin and dress them up as Robins, and is now holding them in chains like they're some dogs. And throughout the comic, these kids are used exactly like that. He will unleash them on people and they will rip that person apart. So it's not something that I expect that I will ever see on the big screen in the future. It's not something that I think even in an animated show they will make a representation of this character in an accurate way. But it would be great if they would at least try. Now, back to the final moments of Superman. Batman simply throws a black kryptonite in front of Superman, which causes him to go insane and slaughter his entire family. After this, it seems that the Batman who laughs ended up killing everyone on his planet, I guess, except for the Robins, which he manages to keep as pets. And as the world was about to end, because as we mentioned before, worlds in the Darkverse aren't sustainable, he is contacted by the Dark God, Barbatos, who tasks the Batman who laughs to go into the other planets of the Darkverse and gather all the messed up Batmans, form an army in order to assault the multiverse. So what I liked about this is that even though it's an Elseworld story, unlike most of the Elseworld stories that are just told and then left alone, This particular one ties into the main continuity. There is actually a fight between all of these nightmarish Batmans against these superheroes. And if you look at the Batman Who Laughs, he's also a very interesting character. He's just like Batman, but he doesn't have the moral code of Batman. He doesn't have any sort of restraint. He knows all the weaknesses of the Justice League members, and in fact, he also manages to kill all of them on his planet. And he is a very dangerous individual that seems to be unbeatable within the DC canon. However, the way the author manages to defeat the Batman Who Laughs is so interesting that actually made me think that, yeah, this is definitely the best story told in comics in 2018. So I'm going to tell you how he did it. And if you don't want spoilers, stop listening here. If you want to know, keep going. Now, as we mentioned, the Batman Who Laughs knows everything that Bruce Wayne does, and he is just as smart as the original Batman, meaning that it's very difficult to outwit him. But he's also more powerful than the original Batman because he's willing to kill. He's willing to use weapons in order to fight his enemies. However, there is one thing that Bruce never thought about, that Batman would ally with the Joker. And as the original Batman comes in and basically uses the Joker as his ally in order to defeat him, this is the only time since Batman became the Batman Who Laughs that he is facing something completely unpredictable and something that he doesn't have a response to. So let me know what you think. I really enjoyed making this video because I think it's a very interesting comic. If you like this type of thing, I can make it like once a week or once every 2 weeks. I can review another one of these nightmarish Batmans. And if you want to read on the main comic, I believe it's called The Dark Knights. And then there's The Batman Who Laughs. There's the Dark Knight series, and it continues into Metal, DC Metal, which is the battle between the superheroes of the multiverse with the ones from the Darkverse. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know what you think, and leave a comment in the comment section.